Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today. I have a film review for a movie that I got from Christmas from my grandfather. I'm in love with this movie. Today I sat down with my mom at her house and we watched it. We're both big horror fans. We're also big fans of James Wan, who directed this. Malignant, the 2021 film that I have waited forever to see this. I didn't get a chance to watch it at home or on HBO Max or at theaters or anything like that, and I'm so pissed that I missed this because I'm one of the only people on the planet that absolutely loved it. I think it's amazing. I had a fantastic time watching this. I have my nitpicks, but it's one of those movies for me that I loved this so much that I have nothing to complain about, really. I really don't, not with my nitpicks. They're very small, minute nitpicks. I won't tell you too much because, number one, I want you to know this is a slasher film. This is James Wan making a slasher movie. He's made revenge films before with Death Sentence, which I love. It's one of my top 2 or 3 films for him. He made Saw, which is a huge one. Of course, Leigh Whannell was involved with a lot of these, too. Leigh Whannell is also extremely talented. I love when these two work together, but I love when they work individually, too, because they're both big, important people in movies right now. James Wan, did Insidious. I love Insidious 1 and 2. I love that whole series. Leigh Whannell took up the mantle for 3 and 4. I think there's a 5th one coming out. Huge fan of these things that these guys have worked on, specifically James Wan in this case. When he got away from horror there for a while, I wasn't a big fan of a lot of the stuff he did outside of horror. I can't stand Aquaman, I'm gonna be honest with you. I like Jason Momoa a lot. I like his casting. I just don't like that movie. It's boring to me. Not a big fan of Fast 7. Just doesn't impress me all that much. It's fine. Or Furious 7 or whatever it was. It had some heart. It was a tough situation with what was going on at the time with that movie. Production issues, the situation with Paul Walker. It was tough, and he did the best he could with it, and he really pulled that off in the worst possible situation. I really commend him for that. James Wan is a respectful director. He doesn't just get online and talk political trash at all of his fans all the time. He doesn't hate the fans. He wants to make good movies for folks who want to pay money to go see his movies, and I love him and I respect him for that, because it would be real easy to turn into the kind of monster Hollywood's been recently. James Wan is so talented. This movie is a slasher movie. And I gotta tell you up front, it's gonna seem like I'm kind of not telling you much about the plot, and that's deliberate. I have to be very careful. I've had to record this video twice, because I recorded one video and it was like 5 minutes and I got too far into the spoilers. Don't do spoiler reviews here. And then I recorded another video, it was like 19 minutes long. I was like, that's a little too long for this too. I want to do a shorter one. So I'm trying to cut it down just a little bit for me. To start off, this is a slasher film once again. It starts off with a prologue about a guy named Gabriel who just killed a bunch of people in some kind of hospital or asylum type of thing, and he may or may not be some kind of deformed fellow. We're not entirely sure. He gets locked away. That's the prologue of the movie. And then we jump over to a young woman. She's pregnant. She's living with an abusive man. I don't know if they're married. I don't think they were married, but she's living with an abusive guy, and he basically punches her in the gut, and she smashes her head on the wall, and some things happen. She starts to have some visions, some very dark visions, seeing this monster. For example, on the first night, she sees a monster that's just covered in shadows, very grudge-like, and this thing kills her boyfriend, husband, whatever he is, in a brutal, horrible way. There's a lot of gore in this movie, by the way, too. Some really horrific things on here. Horrific imagery, too. And this monster kills the boyfriend, husband, and she ends up having a miscarriage, by the way. This is her 3rd miscarriage because of this abusive boyfriend-husband guy for the last 2 years. But now she's experiencing all these visions of these horrific things going on. It's not a good situation at all. There's investigations going on. We have some cops involved in this situation, and it seems like more and more killings are happening. There's some kind of killer on the loose. The killer's really cool looking. It's very giallo inspired, black gloves. The lighting in this movie is very inspired by that too. There's a lot of blues and reds and stuff. Very cool. Really enjoyed that part of it. This is very clearly a 70s and 80s type of throwback thriller type of thing, and it's great. James Wan really maintained that. Even the music has a very 1980s feel to it. As I said, though, this is a slasher film. There's a lot of gore in here. More gore than I've seen since Death Sentence, which James Wan made with Kevin Bacon, which is amazing. I'm amazed by that. I'm amazed by how well together this is. I'm amazed by how much fun it was. It wasn't a scary movie. I want you to know that, too. There's a lot of just straightforward, very thriller-esque storytelling. There's some really cool stuff in here. For example, the killer doesn't talk. He talks through radio and through TVs and cell phones and stuff like that. It's a very cool twist on the killer, but there's some other twists, man. It's great. It pisses me off. It's one of those movies, too, that every idiot on the internet saw a similar kind of twist done in some other places, and they assume they're brilliant because they saw a similar type of twist, that they had no clue how they had the execution going here with a particular twist. It's such a smart film. It's so well made, well crafted. The directing is fantastic. The script is a little dry. The actors, I think, try to pull off a little bit of charm per character. They all did a good job for what they were having to do. I think they all tried their best to do something at least different with certain scenes, particularly our main girl when she has her miscarriage. It's a very sad scene. There's a couple of touching moments in here. Again, the gore is top-notch. Really good gore in here. James Wan is very talented. Very, very talented. I'm just amazed by this guy. I can't really tell you anything. I don't want to spoil this movie for you. It's so valuable to me that you go into this movie, number one, knowing it's a thrill, or knowing that it's a slasher, because that's important. It wasn't advertised that way. But number two, knowing how fun this can be. You just have to go in and not take it so seriously. It's got a decent, solid budget to it. It looks good. The directing is good. James Wan is so creative. His script has some creativity to it. Some of the foreshadowings and whatnot are fantastic in here. There's just so much good to this movie, and it pisses me off that no one appreciates Malignant. It's such a good movie. I'll tell you this. I saw Spider-Man No Way Home about a week or two ago. And I'll tell you this. I think that's tied with this movie as my favorite movie of the year for 2021. I haven't seen things like Matrix Resurrections, which I've heard is horrible, so it probably won't even come close. I haven't seen Dune. There wasn't much that came out this year I wanted to see, but I didn't see a lot of things this year from 2021. But I'll tell you, this one's a great one. This one is one that I will not forget. This is one of James Wan's best. I'm so glad he came back to horror for one movie at least. Even if I don't get him involved with any more horror stuff, that's fine. This is a great send-off for his horror career. The dude comes back every once in a while and he just knocks it out of the park. I'm not a big fan of things like Conjuring 2. The first Conjuring movie is good. I'm not a big fan of Conjuring 2, like I said. I love when he does horror. He always brings a very creative, very well-done craft to it. He doesn't disappoint me most of the time. And this is a great example of that. The execution of many different things, different tropes that are done in the horror genre and this particular type of thriller, murder, mystery type of genre. The kind of references to things like The Shining and Kubrick's style of directing and The Crow with Brandon Lee. The kind of references and little things thrown in here from those kinds of things are so neat. I can't believe people aren't appreciating that and talking about those things. I don't know. It just pisses me off. No one appreciated this movie when it came out. Just proves my point. I don't care what any normie out there says. You can spot normies a mile away. I'm not trying to gatekeep here, but the point is, there's a lot of normies out there when it comes to the horror community. People who either only like slasher films and stuff, that don't like experimental slashers like this, or like Christmas Evil, or New Year's Evil, or anything like that. Or, you know, people who like just the ghost genre and found footage genres. I love all of these things, but my whole point is, people don't appreciate movies like this until some idiot on YouTube makes a video essay about it 5 years down the road saying, it's better than you remember 5 years ago. You know, it irks me tremendously. And I know Malignant's going to get videos like that, not even like 2 or 3 years down the road. It won't even be 5. It'll be like 2 or 3, and I'll have to see that and hear idiots say, have you seen Malignant? It was actually good. You know, you start seeing that everywhere. It's going to piss me off, frankly. Anyway, Malignant. Great movie. I highly recommend this. I loved it. I cherish it now. I'm so thankful my sweet grandfather got this for me. I'm so thankful I could watch this with my mom. We had a blast. She loved it. I loved it. My mom is more what you consider the mainstream horror fan. And she even loved it. She saw the references in there. She saw so many cool things in here. We didn't even see half the stuff coming, dude. Great flick. Highly recommended. If I had to recommend this film to anybody, I would recommend it to everyone, especially if you're a slasher person, like I've said 500 billion times in this review. If I had to rate this film on a 5-star basis, I would hands down, even with my small nitpicks about pacing and a little bit of the script issues that are there, some of the logic surrounding the killer himself, I'd give it a 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. I think it's a perfect movie, aside from some small, tiny nitpicks. I know that it's not perfect, but to me it is. I can overlook those things because everything else made up for it for me. It just sucked me in. I want to watch this again tonight. I genuinely do. Anyway, what are your thoughts on Malignant? Did you love this movie? Did you hate this movie? Please let me down in the comment section down below if you took my recommendation and watched this, what your thoughts are. I just wanted to talk to people today about how much I loved Malignant, and can't believe how much everybody else doesn't like Malignant. I have like 3 people in my life who love horror movies, and they all hated it. Every single one of them, and I don't get it. I don't think they get it, frankly. I don't know. It's not to be mean, it's the truth. I really don't think they get it. That 70s, 80s throwback feel, you have a very specific kind of pacing that needs to be there, and James Wan's like one of the only directors who can get that nowadays, and Lee Winnell too. But anyway, 5 out of 5 stars for me. What are your thoughts? Put them down below. Guys, thank you for a great year here on the channel, even though I've recently rebooted the channel. 2022, still gonna have a lot of focus on my Goosebumps channel, gonna have more than I used to focused on that channel. A lot of focus on the book review channel, Mr. Wild194, where I review horror and stuff like that. Some little random things like comic trades and stuff like that every once in a while too. Most focus will be on those channels. I'm going to try to get out at least 1 movie review a week for this channel, just because I want to. Maybe 2, I'm not sure, kind of depends. But we'll try. We'll see what happens with all that. Anyway, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for watching. Happy New Year. I hope 2022 is a great year for you. I hope you guys are okay. I hope you're good. And God bless you. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.